forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
Welcome back to Leading Edge. Good to have you along. By the time you watch this, there's a really good chance that Toledo will have set yet another record for homicides in 1 year. And when that happens, it'll break the record set just last year.
You know, my time incarcerated, my prior incarceration, I came in, I was a juvenile. And like 2 months in, I witnessed an individual that was close to me killed. 17 years old, killed. Things like that, you know, a lot of experiences like that, back-to-back experiences like that. Have I had no rest, no peace in my life.
From at or 1981, at the age of 3, up until 1986, Prentsis Williams would be in and out of the custody of the Lucas County Children's Services. He would experience inability in his living situations, spending time with his mother and grandmother partly, but eventually he would return to the custody of Children's Services.
Placed into the custody of my grandmother, who herself was a young lady struggling with life and had her priorities kind of mixed up to the point where she couldn't tell me that she didn't really know how to raise a child. You know what I mean? She didn't raise her daughter right, let alone her. And as a result of things that took place in her custody, I was placed into foster care permanently, I think when I was 8. And it's been a story pretty much been in foster care and juvenile facilities in the streets since 8. I had stayed, as long as I stayed in it was like 3 years. And by the time I had moved in and out when I was 8, and by that time the foundation had been laid in terms of like my self-perception, you know, what I believe were my options, my value. So I didn't know what to appreciate or how to appreciate. I didn't feel like, part of me didn't feel like I was connected, you know what I mean? I guess because a part of me understood like this isn't our biological family. And it was never explained to me why, you know, my life worked out as it did in terms of my mother and my father. But I can recall I had a second grade teacher by the name of Miss Guy, and Hare. She really reached out to me. She's the reason I read to this day. Besides her, I can't really recall any memorable or endeavor encounters with any of my teachers besides get out of here, get out of my class, or something like that. Nothing that was life-changing and life-altering.
Sitting in the juvenile jail at the age of 16, Prentsis Williams would say that it was no fun being behind bars or packing a gun. But he quickly would add, if that's all you know, you're going to do what you know. By the age of 24, he was back behind bars at the Lucas County Jail, accused of fatally shooting 4 people, wounding another, and firing a gun at a jail corrections officer. But really, the only thing different about his story and a lot of other kids from Toledo or even nearby cities like Columbus, Cleveland, or Akron is the murders. If we're talking about growing up in single-parented or sometimes no-parented homes, as we all know, it starts young with a sense of foundation. But in the case of Prentsis Williams, the lack of it would turn him into a killer.
A licensed trauma therapist and social worker who has been actively working in parts of Toledo struggling with violence says the problem of gun violence can be traced to one major issue.
But our kids really don't have anything to do. And it's also, essentially, it's like we have a parentless generation. Our kids are raising themselves, and they're very angry, and they're very numb to it all.
Bankston says government projects like the War on Crime and the War on Drugs have caused generations of children to grow up with parents or relatives in jail, creating a system where the children have learned to fend for themselves.
And so, because a lot of our youth have been left to their own device, they're going to do whatever they feel they have to do in order to, have just some very basic and essential needs met.
By the time he was 10 years old, in 1988, Prentsis' parents' rights had been terminated, and he would spend time in various foster homes. Despite attempts at adoption, he would continue to struggle with stability and run away from several group homes.
But then, and like I said, I come to the realization of this, that I'm contributing negatively to the guy. I'm still a rider, still a G, I still believe in the code, but I done, get enough to where I realize that, each man, each life, it contributes to the overall make or break of the community. Whether you realize it or not, each life leaves an impact that, it either contributes to the good or it contributes to the negative. Whether you mean to or not, whether you're conscious of that or not, no matter what you do with your life, because each life counts. No matter what you do with your shit, it's going to count one way or another, even if you live in Iowa.
But that's the tough thing about it in a city like Toledo.
Homicides in Toledo are on the rise. Good evening. We start with breaking news. A violent weekend in Toledo as 3 men were victims of homicide.
A violent weekend in Toledo. Police say there were at least 6 shootings leading to multiple people shot and 2 killed.
Even with a strong foundation, it's sometimes hard to stay straight. But without the foundation and influences, it's damn near impossible to stay idle. According to Neighborhood Scout, a website which provides exclusive crime risk analytics for every neighborhood in America with up to 98% predictive accuracy. Now, it compares crime trends in each city using a 1 to 100 scale, which means having a rank of 100 would mean that you were safer than 100% of other U.S. neighborhoods. And the city of Toledo would get a 4, which means you would be safer in 96% of the other cities in the country. Now, let's just compare that to the rest of Ohio. The chance of becoming a victim of a violent crime in the entire state of Ohio is 1 out of 341. However, in Toledo specifically, that number drops drastically to 1 out of every 86, almost a 3 times higher chance.
I believe in relation to those that aren't caught up, that still have potential and things of that nature on the table, they need to be shown and encouraged to recognize what their options are. That's a big thing. If you're already convinced that you can't be nothing, can't do nothing, and that, even though you do have a mother and that you go to school there because your neighbor who look like you might be the same age as you, because he lived like he lived, but you gotta live like that. That's your option. That's your highest option. If you are convinced of that, then that's going to influence a lot of your decisions. But if you're convinced, if you're shown that you don't necessarily have to be in, you don't have to be in. And then not only are you told that, but you're shown options and methods and ways to engage different paths and different walks of life, then, that's where you will get to see different results, better results.
In 1994, by the time he was 16, though nobody didn't know it yet, Prentsis Williams was already a killer. But he would be charged in a separate 1995 shooting that injured a man. Still a juvenile, he would be convicted and receive a sentence of 6 to 15 years. And from the time that he was 16 till the time that he was 24, while he was in prison, he would accumulate numerous misconduct reports, mainly charges of possession of contraband and fighting. Then finally, in the year of 2002, at the age of 24, and after serving roughly 8 years of that 15-year sentence, he would be released early on parole. But the worst was yet to come, because it wouldn't be long before he would be implicated in multiple murders.
And coming from it from a perspective to where, at one point in time, even when I knew that the things, the attitudes, the actions, the habits, the things that I was doing was against the grain, it was difficult for anyone to tell me anything different. I was convinced that this is where I needed to be and work out. Knowing how, as you could say, firm the attitude was embedded in me, I know that in order to reach individuals that's caught up in their life right now, to tell them to change or to quit or to get out, it's a lot of majority of them. They wouldn't even, I deal with it now, they wouldn't respond to it. So the thing, my focus now is to tell them, try to encourage them that it's not wrong to come together with your own. It's not wrong. We've been doing that since the beginning of time in terms of our history and things of that nature, but it's our methods that is actually killing us, And in terms of identifying another person as different or even alien to you, or even rival to you because of where they come from or what neighborhood, what street they was born on or live on or what colors they wear, that's in vain. You know, that's a lifestyle in vain.
Prentsis Williams was released from the South Ohio Correctional Facility on April 25th, 2002. And exactly a month after his release, on May 25th, 2002, authorities allege Prentsis Williams, along with another man by the name of Jonathan Booker, would attempt to kill a man by the name of Damian Davis, only injuring him. But they would kill a person that he was riding in a car with, a female by the name of Carmita Dickey. Now, as far as the motive for that shooting, at some places I seen it was an attempted hit on Damian Davis, but I also saw information that said that Jonathan Booker wrongly identified Carmita Dickey as the target of the hit. Nonetheless, that same day, Jonathan Booker would be found shot to death. And according to the police, it would be at the behest of Prentsis Williams in order to cover up his role in the Dickey murder. The very next day, on May 25th, 2002, after a traffic stop in nearby Columbus, Ohio, Prentsis Williams would be arrested for the murder of Carmita Dickey and his accomplice, Jonathan Booker. Only out a month and facing life in a cell, things would get worse for Prentsis Williams, when he would be indicted for not only one, but two cold case murders. The July 28, 1994 murder of a female by the name of Shelly Renee Johnson, and a May 1994 slaying of a guy by the name of Robert Hendricks. And just when you think things couldn't get any wilder in the life of Prentsis Williams, they would on October 14, 2023, when while at the Lucas County Jail awaiting trial, he would obtain a handgun and fire several shots at correction officers. He would only be charged as a juvenile for the crimes in 1994, but after all of that, the state of Ohio would still bring out the death penalty for him. So, in an attempt to save what was left of his life, he would end up copping out and being sentenced to 151 years. And just to try to put things in perspective, it's 2024, and Prentsis Williams should be around 46 years old. From the time he was 8 up until now, he was either in care of the state, foster care, or in jail. Y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trail spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what we missed, what we got wrong, all of that. Y'all tapping with me directly, Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. And until the next play, y'all know how we rocking. Shades Popalot. Salute the almighty MOBB.